What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Chaos hit the gaming industry yesterday when multiple video clips were appearing online that seemed to be gameplay from GTA 6, and when those started popping up, the internet went into a frenzy. We'll take a look at exactly what was happening with that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about the Duskbloods as we have that network test coming up this weekend, but some other details got out there a little ahead of that. And the entire situation with Sony continues. The backlash keeps mounting in with a recent event from Sony. Doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon, but we'll go over all of that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Small Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. Guys, we're every weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, going over the world of gaming news, trying to keep you up to date. So just know if you don't get a notification in the morning, there's probably a video here to check out on YouTube and on Spotify, video and audio included there. And we're going to start today with Control Resonant. Now, the game is coming up here pretty soon at the end of September, but we did get some news, as you can see, where they say Control Resonant has gone gold. Get ready to unleash Dylan Faden's paranatural abilities in Warp Manhattan on September 24th. Here's the catch, though. The physical release date for the game has moved to October 15th. We need just a little more time to deliver the physical version to you, but rest assured, nothing stays contained forever. No nuance, by the way, to the physical versus digital split. None at all. Okay, so like when you see this situation, if you've been waiting for Control Resonant to release for a while now, like you're so excited for it, look, even if you want physically, you're probably just, you know what, I'll get it digitally here. And, you know, if I really like the game, maybe I will get it physical, and then you just kind of don't. So, again, that's the situation with the physical versus digital. For me, though, I was looking at Control Resonant. You know, I think it looks interesting, but there are just so many games out right alongside of it. Like, I'm actually a bit more interested in the Silent Hill game that's out at that time. Kind of reminds me a bit about, like, Condemned. So Control Resonant would probably be one I was going to put off till later anyway. And now, yeah, I guess I will put it off later because I was thinking about getting it physically if I was going to get it. So there you go. I'll be waiting at least until October 15th for that one. Also, it looks like we have a bit of a surprise release coming up here next week, and I cannot believe this one. It certainly caught me off guard. Take a look at this headline. It says, wake up, it looks like Terranigma might finally be getting a re-release. This was over on Time Extension. It came across the timeline. I had to look into this and go, oh, okay, so we have Clear River Games tweeting this out, and people were going, hold on a minute, this seems to allude to dialogue that would basically reference Terranigma. And here's the thing, it's part of like the trio of releases. There's Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, remember? But Terranigma was one that came out in Japan and then in Europe, but didn't make it to North America or the US, and I think it had to do with, because we have Square Enix now. Back then, Enix was the one who would have published it, but they weren't able to because like the office they used for localizing closed down just before they were. It was a whole thing. Nonetheless, this is one that's been coveted, actually. It's an action RPG, and you can kind of get an idea as to visualize it based on the 16-bit style games we had back then with our RPGs. But for this, it was always one people asked for reproduction carts because there is an English version of it. But again, it never came to the US. It's just the PAL version. So this is an interesting one. I thought there were like rights issues or something with it that were complicating matters, but maybe they got it worked out and we could see an announcement for, I don't know, just like a basic re-release. I don't think this was go like an HD 2D style or like change up the art style. I would assume this is going to be a standard re-release, but even so, that's something that people have been looking for a long time now. Oh, and we had another game that was added to the GOG preservation program, and as you can see, it's Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. The one from back in the early 2000s, not the recent one that got canceled. At least we have this. Now, they say it's been rebuilt with the initial experimental work into a lightweight wrapper that tackles modern hardware compatibility while adding widescreen ultra-wide support. This game would actually look really cool in ultra-wide support. Customizable camera scaling with new in-game overlay, FPS limit, and multi-monitor mouse locking. I checked the price on it. They had it on sale for $3. I mean, that's pretty good. $3, and it's something that's now been kind of fine-tuned to work on modern PC builds. That's an easy pickup. So I will go ahead and grab Sands of Time here for on GOG for their preservation. It is really fun when you get these kinds of announcements because you do at least get even sometimes a fresh look with like ultra-wide support for an older game like Sands of Time. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with some insane leaks that were popping up yesterday. I mean, it was ridiculous. Things were going crazy as one video popped up online that appeared to be in-game for GTA 6. Here's the thing, it's hard to tell nowadays because of all the AI stuff that's happening. People have been generating in-game, quote-unquote, visuals and video for GTA 6 for a while and try to pass it off as the real thing. So there's always a lot of skepticism when something like this pops up online just randomly. In this case, though, no, it actually is footage from GTA 6. Now, I can't show you any of the clips. I can show you some screenshots from the game that Rockstar put out on their own website, but Take-Two was already going crazy with the DMCA takedown notice. They were copyright striking everything. You'd see it show up like a clip, and then less than an hour later, it would have a little thing. It's like that it's been DMCA takedown by the owner, you know, Take-Two Incorporated or whatever else there. But the first clip seemed to show Jason outside of a house playing basketball, and yeah, visually speaking, apparently these are builds from more than a year ago. Some are saying it was probably like early 2024 builds. And even then it looked pretty good in terms of like the way that the ball and like was interacting with the environments, the animations, all of that stuff. It was like higher quality even for an early build. But there were a few things people noticed. For example, as you were playing basketball, you had a focus stat that was going up, which of course then indicates there is some sort of RPG light mechanics in the game itself. Another clip showed Jason driving around in the world and then getting into a fight with a delivery person. Like he got out and kicked him and knocked him down and was beating him up. And even then, like the driving itself, it's so hard to tell because for GTA, you have to actually control it to see how floaty it feels. It seemed better. It's just GTA has always kind of been that game where it feels like you're just driving around on ice most of the time. It just the handling on cars hasn't been good. But also, GTA 5 came out forever ago, so I mean, I have to assume it can only get better, you know, from there. But they also put out what appeared to be an image of the map for the game. Now, I say they put it out there because what it seems to be happening is there is a group that is actually threatening Rockstar and Take-Two with more leaks. See, this was shared over on Twitter X from Ben. Says the leaking group CyberLeak threatens companies such as Sony due to an all-digital future. All right, they say this is like a something they put out, I guess, the quote from the hacking group. It was funny. I saw some headlines go, hacking group put out a press release. Like, what? Okay, sure, a press release. Says CyberLeak, that's their name, will continue to disrupt their operations until they issue a public statement, an apology with a concrete commitment to fix the harm they caused. No private negotiations, no quiet settlements. The public sees it or the leaks do not stop. So, okay, they're framing it about the whole thing with it just being all digital. That's what apparently they're mad about. So mad that they decided to make a cryptocurrency or crypto coin and make sure it's plastered over all the different leaks that are getting millions. I mean, some of these got like tens of millions of views. It was getting out of hand online, but they wanted to make sure that everyone saw the crypto coin they made. Very, very concerned about the digital future. That's why they're doing the leaks, not the crypto coin. The leaks is because of the digital stuff. No, this is, to me, okay. So it seems like they had some files, early video gameplay, and we know that there were data breaches at Rockstar and Take-Two that's been documented, and it seems like they had some old builds with video, mostly of testing, and decided to put them out there. And so the thing with this, we already know Sony's seeing a lot of backlash. Rockstar and Take-Two also seen some backlash with those codes in a box, but with Take-Two, I've talked about how Nintendo and Take-Two are on like different levels when it comes to like literally getting, you know, Agent 47 after you. Like that's what's about to happen. Take-Two is, they're pretty serious about this kind of thing. And while we see the DMC takedowns all over the place, big sweeping strikes for anyone who posts this stuff, that's light work. So, I mean, at this point, it's kind of like good luck for the hacking group here because Take-Two is probably not going to stop until they find them. But until then, maybe they'll have other stuff they can drop online as we build towards that big Netflix blowout, I assume. At least I'd hope. Because if they really just show up with a couple of minutes of footage and it's like, okay, hopefully the hacking group can leak some more stuff so we can actually see this game that's, you know, set to release 3 months from now, and here's the other thing, they're selling a lot of copies. Go figure. Now, there was some stats that got out there you could see. Now, this was shared by Sensor Tower. The game, according to them, these are estimates through traffic and purchasing through Xbox and PlayStation. 4.38 million units have already sold through pre-orders for a game that we have not seen okay, we've seen a little bit of gameplay from a third-party group, but we haven't seen any presented gameplay. And they've already made more than $400 million on this game. Think about when they do have, what I have to assume is going to be a sizable presentation, and then we do build up to the release of the game. And then we go through an entire, like, holiday season where this is clearly going to be the hottest game, you know, for the holidays to gift and everything. Yeah, this game's going to go ridiculous. Like, there's going to be a ton of sales, obviously, and now I'm seeing these pre-order numbers this far out. You know what? If they showed up and said, hey, we sold 25 million copies, I wouldn't necessarily doubt them. So it's going to be a very, very interesting next few months, especially if, I don't know, this hacking group is still running wild, dropping all kinds of leaks for GTA 6. Next up, let's talk about the Duskbloods, as there's a network test that will be happening this weekend. I am in, so I will be checking it out. I think I'm going to play it Friday night. They have blocks of time where you can play it. Like, so for example, that Friday night is going to be 10 p.m. Eastern to 2 a.m. Eastern. So I'll at least get a couple of hours in for the Duskbloods and see exactly what it's all about there. Now, if you were accepted in, even if you signed up and you're not sure if you accepted in, go check now, because if you are accepted, what they do is they give you a code. You then take that code and you redeem it on the Switch too, and then it will give you like the download for it, which comes in just under 4 gigabytes. You can't really do anything right now. Obviously, there's nothing to connect to that's currently stood up with servers, but you can see the title screen music, and people are going crazy over that because, yeah, it's pretty epic, like FromSoft music attached to what should be a very interesting experiment of a game. That's just the way it's being described. It does seem like almost Elden Ring Night Rain, but to the next level. They've said that there is like a hub area, but then you go out on adventures that can be PvP mixed with PvE, and then there's like 8 players that can go out all at once. And I guess there's a gameplay loop of getting rewards, getting stronger every outing, and then you kind of do it again and again and again. Now, as part of this, there will be several different characters or classes to choose from, and those just kind of get out there a bit early. And like, so for example, this is over on Insider Gaming, and this is from a data server update with 14 classes. So they have them kind of sectioned off. And from what I could tell as I was going through, it seems like they have some standard tropes like their tank, DPS, status ailments, support, all that's kind of mixed in here. But some of the names like Walter, the Blood Eater, Jillian, the Guillotine, you know, Foul Rot Veronica, Nail Pierce Sebastian. Like, yeah, this is a FromSoft game. Absolutely. Mud Shredder Yulon, Ash Crown Camilla. So this is it's going to be an interesting one. I'm genuinely curious to see what Miyazaki and FromSoft came up with the Duskbloods. Just the partnership alone with Nintendo was eyebrow raising for people. And now here we are with what it, I guess, appears to be a pretty sizable multiplayer game that they've spent quite some time even polishing and developing, to the point now where they're going to let us try it out before it releases, which I think is happening in October. That would be my guess right now, but first we got to get to this network test and see what it's all about. Next up, let's talk about Phantom Blade Zero and the backlash that continues to haunt Sony around them moving away from physical media January 2028, and it kind of spilling over still, in this case, for some of their partners who want to show off their game. Well, we had that state of play for Phantom Blade Zero. It did last a bit more than 20 minutes, and first I will say, I think the game looks awesome, and I'm picking it up day one at the end of October when it drops. I think it's going to be a really good time. It's not full like Souls-like style. It's more action, but then Souls-like exploration mixed in. So I think I like the idea that we are seeing games pop up that are like, hey, we're not full Souls-like, guys. We're trying some different things in it. We're not going to do like a copycat kind of Souls genre style game. So that's what I like to hear, evolving this Souls genre further. But as this was ongoing, the chat was crazy. It was what you kind of expect. And like, there are many screenshots or even just tweets out there like here. This was posted by, I saw Cynical posted this one, and Yeah, it's just people saying, hey, no disc, no buy, this would be really cool if it was physical. And then some people are like, oh no, we only want everything digital, just kind of playing up the other side, I guess, just for fun. But the entire conversation in the chat, save for a few comments here and there, was mostly about what Sony is doing when eliminating discs in 2028. And this is just an ongoing thing still for them. I mean, I've noticed, like now, I was more than a month and a half away from when they first made that announcement, and it's still a thing. So I do wonder how long Sony in their mind was planning for this to be happening. Was it a week? Was it a couple of weeks? Or were they planning for months? Because that's what it seems like they should have been doing, planning for months. And I will say, the more this is going on and on and on, and Phantom Blade Zero, the developers have said very recently that pre-orders are actually exceeding their expectations. So it's not like it's necessarily affecting sales of some of these games, but it does make communication more difficult if you are aligning yourself or partnering with Sony for advertising. It just is. There's so much noise around this that in the comments, no one's really talking about your game. People are seeing your game, but they're not really conversing about it, right? And that's, I feel like, something you'd like to see happen, one, for feedback, but two, also just for the overall hype factor of, hey, this game looks good. Yeah, you're right. This is what I like about it. And instead it's like, nope, no disc, no buy. That's kind of it. So, man, maybe we will end up in 2027 and people are still talking about Sony moving away from physical media every time they post something on social media. We'll see. And in our last bit of news, let's actually stick with physical games going away here, as Shuhei Yoshida had an entire interview where they did touch on the topic. And it's very important to remember that Shuhei was there front and center with the kill shot towards Microsoft as they showed everyone how to lend a game on the PlayStation 4, where you take the PS4 disc and hand it to a friend, and then that was it. That was the entire tutorial. It was a really big thing, and I mean, that really kind of ended the Xbox One before it even got started. With all of that in mind, let's see what Shuhei had to say about current events around the digital future that appears inevitable at this point. Quote, even with physical disc games, in most cases, developers are constantly updating and adding game data anyway. Anyone who chooses to purchase a physical version will still need to download new patches, DLC, or updates, so not having a disc, I don't understand if it's such a big issue. I know there are collectors of physical games. They have walls of physical packages, and for them, it would be a shame if physical games were no longer available to collect. But personally, I'm a totally digital consumer. I don't want to manage discs or swap discs. I want all my games on my dashboard, and I just select a game and play it, so I'm completely digital. Man, I keep hearing that a lot, and I don't know what it is, but in a lot of these interviews with people who are in the industry, whether it's someone who's directing a game or developing at the ground level or whatever else, they always kind of go, I get it. I'm digital. I'm all digital for myself, but I understand. It's like, man, can we find somebody who has a wall of games at home? Like, it just seems less common than I would have thought for many of the people who are really, really into the industry, especially if you're like working in the industry. It kind of, I don't know, to me, it seems like something you'd be really into and have a bunch of physical games. But look, the stats do show that the majority of people do prefer digital. That's what they buy, and I get it. But it still just kind of works away from the idea of choice and even ownership. But he does say, hey, there's updates and other things. That is true. Games do have the advantage now over what we've had previously, like way in the past, let's say PS2 or something, to where it can be updated on the fly if needed. But if you get a game disc and it has at least a 1.0 Gold Master on it, you still have a version of the game that is there and is accessible offline or further into the future. If who knows what really happens at this time with delisting or games being taken out of libraries. Not that that's very common, but who knows what happens when there legitimately is no other choice and it's all digital at that point. So, little strange to see Shuhei kind of take that stance after making such a stance back 13 years ago to start up the PS4 and knock the Xbox One to the mat, again, before the generation even started. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you participating in the Duskbloods network test? Okay, so I messed up here. I meant to say, instead of no, I didn't sign up or get accepted. That was the middle one. That was 61% though, okay? So then 26% say no, I don't have a Switch 2. 12% say yes. So this is going to be such an interesting thing because I do see people who, like the FromSoft games, aren't as crazy about the idea of being multiplayer. And I think we really do just need to play the game. They know that. That's why we're about to play the game. But I'm so curious for FromSoft with a game like this that apparently is something they've wanted to make for a long time. And Nintendo, I guess that partnership was able to bring it to fruition. And then the fact that it's on the Switch too is, again, confusing a lot of people. But hey, I'm here for it. It should be an interesting one. And again, I'll find out more, I guess, Friday night. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Aaron, who says, Sony jumped the gun on ditching physical media. Not the right time. PS6 will flop. Never seen an upcoming console get ragged on so hard. Not even Xbox One pre-launch. Not buying one, and I've been a hardcore Sony fan since day one. I do agree with you in that Sony should have waited one more generation. I think the PS6 should have started with physical media, and then Sony could have done the thing where they slowly wind down production of game discs. Doesn't really say much, just you notice less and less show up, kind of like what we've already seen, but they don't make a big spectacle out of it and just do a hard cut like they're about to, all right? With that in mind, though, I think the PS6, when it first releases, will sell out. Like, I think there is enough enthusiasts out there to push it past like a couple million units in the first year. It's more so what happens beyond that. If they can't get the price down, does the mainstream move on from the PS5, or do they just stick with the PS5 for several years longer? Because the PS4, people still play that. And if they're still playing that with the PS5, that is, I think, snappier. I just think it's a better system overall. How are they going to move them to those PS6 that very well could be starting at $1,000? That's the big question mark. What happens in year 2 and year 3 for the PS6? And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you wanted to hear about how retro gaming is absolutely exploding right now with all kinds of options in 2026. I did a video looking into that, and I'll leave right below. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.